what's going on, you guys? It's your boy 360 Stacks in this thing, baby, representing TKOG. And today I'm coming at you guys with my FLOOWANDEREEZE list that I actually took to regionals today. I went to the Las Vegas regionals. Originally was gonna go to Pasadena, but I found out that this one was the same exact day, and I was like, oh my god, like I don't even have to like pay for a hotel or anything. I can just stay exactly where I'm at and just go tomorrow. So I did that. I really wanted to win, but also I really wanted to have fun a lot more. So I was like, first I was thinking about decks that I could play, and I was like, you know, I know that I will have a way higher chance of winning if I played these. But then I also was like, you know what, I'm just having a lot of fun with, I should just call it FLUN, huh? Like F-L-U-N, yeah. I'm having a lot of fun with FLOOWANDEREEZE. I really am. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna just play what I like. I'm gonna just do what I always do and just play what appeals to me instead of like playing to win. Because like also when you play to win and you lose, you take the L a lot harder than when you were just enjoying yourself. Because like for some reason when I have that like oh, I just want to win so bad, I don't care, you know, what deck I'm playing, I just want to play the best deck. It's like when I lose, it's like a pit in my stomach. I can just feel it, bro. It's like not a good time at all. But yeah, I had a blast today. This deck overperformed for me. When I say, you guys, my list did exactly what I built it to do. I have no complaints. That to me is a W. That's one of the biggest W's you can have in this game, is when your decks do exactly what you designed them to do. Even if the archetype couldn't do it, I was able to push my archetype past its limitations and do things that normal Flunder lists don't actually do more often than not. I mainly built my deck to beat Zombie World. I wasn't worried for Despia because I've always had a great Despia matchup. The only thing that really made that matchup so hard post-sighting was because they can have the Zombie World package. But their engine, their self, has never posed a problem for me. I don't know if you guys seen my duels, but I've literally played through Mirror Jade, freaking Guardian Chimera Popping 2, and Dragon Sopilia, and still broke their board. Like, I had goodness. But yeah, you guys, I had a blast. I got 11th place. I literally 2-0'd every Despia player that I played. I only played one mirror. I 2-0'd that. The rest was pretty much Rogue and Eldritch. But like I said, I had a blast. I'm really happy. You know, I enjoyed myself. Before we get into it, if you haven't done so already, consider subscribing to the channel. Leave a like if you liked the video. Leave a dislike if you didn't. And definitely click the notification bell if you're sub. And additionally, you know, you guys can definitely join the Discord. It's growing. I think it's over 400 members. And if you guys would like for me to train you, tutor, mentor, however you want to say it, teach you guys how to properly side and just get better at the game and offer my insight, especially when it comes to not just the deck building aspect, but the playing it, the experience that you garner. Experience is a great teacher, and experience has been a great teacher to me, and I can teach you predicated to the experiences that I've had. So I feel that I have a lot to offer as a player, and you guys can definitely benefit from that by joining the Patreon, because those are the services I offer to my Patreons. So yeah, let's get into the list. So like I said, you guys, I had one thing in mind. I was like, every other deck I'm not too concerned about, but I know Despia is everywhere, and I know that I'm going to get zombie roaded pretty much. I was like, if I play all rounds of Despia, that means I have a chance of getting hit by zombie road every single match, post-sighting, which means my main deck had to be able to out-zombie road, and that's how I built it. So you guys are going to see, this list was gas. Honestly, this is the most cracked FLOOWANDEREEZE deck that I've built so far. I took out the crossout package and just went all in because I was like, barely any people were playing hand traps. Bet I don't even have to build my deck to beat the certain hand traps that I was normally worried about. Now I can just go all in with engine. And bro, I wish I could record my duels, because the duels I had today at regionals were crazy. Like, people were watching me break these boards, bro, the long way. Like, bro, I was paying that 600 for that masquerade. I was like, I'm gonna kill you, bro. I don't care. I'll pay down to my last 600. You're dead this turn. Like, I was breaking every board, bro. Like, going second with this deck, it just feels so great. So let's do it, you guys. Let's get into the list. So we have three copies of Avion. We have 3 copies of Map. Map is a heaven sent. This card is one of the main ways for you to get to your Zeus lines. The Zeus lines come up a lot more. I was using my extra deck a lot more today than I've ever used it. But that's normally because I play Thunders at locals, and those people don't put enough pressure, you know? Like, I feel like even when they play good decks, they don't play them as adequate as, you know, some other players. So it was a little bit more challenging, and so it pushed me you know, to really do things that I normally don't do and I'm not comfortable doing with Flunder. But the fact that my deck was able to do those things when I needed it to do it, it just made it feel that much better. This deck to me just feels like a toolbox. You know, you have the pseudo Cyber Vinton-esque kind of utility of like how Vinton searches any fairy. This deck can virtually search any winged beast. So I feel that this deck is very adaptive, and a lot of people stop playing Flunders because of Despia. I felt, why would I stop playing a deck that I like? I'm just going to adapt. And I feel that a lot of players would rather cry or whine or complain or quit something before they want to adapt because they don't want to put in the time and effort to play test and practice and research. All these things are just work that they feel like they shouldn't have to do because they can just play another deck and not do that. But I wanted to do it. I wanted to study the meta. And I was like, this is the pretty much the synopsis that I came upon. And I was like, look, dude, this is how I'm going to build my deck. And it worked. But continue with the starters. You know, we have the 6 pots. These 12 are like the best starters you can have. Opening up Avion, I think, is the best card in the deck. It searches anything because it snowballs into Impin. Impin searches all your Flunder cards. But this card also plays through disruptions. This is a win condition in time. It gets you map if you need it. It gets you a bird if you need it. It dodges so many different things. It's crazy. Avion is definitely the best card in the deck without a doubt. People always want to ash it, and I love it. I'm like, oh my god. Oh my god, you ashed my Avion. Map Robina, let's go. We have 3 Jack in the hand. I love this card today. I'm never going to take this out again. This card is amazing. The only time you get punished is if it's a mirror match and they already didn't have a playable hand. If not, you're just giving them a duplicate of a card they already have. But never punished, you guys. Card was amazing. Jack in the hand, the mind games I was doing with this card, so I was revealing DD Crow a lot. I actually was playing a second stream this list because I was scared that somebody was going to just have this crazy 500 IQ, freaking 5-head, gigantic Jimmy Neutron brain play and be like, I'm going to take 3-stack street from him because every Flunder list plays 1 street and he will never have street for the rest of the duel. Dude, I should have never played the second street. I don't know why I was overthinking it. I really overthought. I was like, bro, if I have to reveal street and they take it from me, I'm going to be pressed because I don't think I'm ever going to get my street back. And I'm probably going to need that street. So I played a second street and it never came up. So the only reason I was playing the second street was just this card. I was like, you know what? I really overthought it. Because I was forgetting that I put Crow in my list, but sometimes I would draw it and I can't reveal it. But yeah, I also was revealing Crow. This is a heaven sent in Despia, especially going second. Because believe it or not, you guys, this card will out Branded in red. Because what's going to happen is this. They're either going to give you the Crow by taking one of your birds because they don't want you to have a starter, because they know they don't have hand traps, and they know that your board's going to be hard to, it's going to be hard to stop you, even with their engine alone. This is why they cite Zombie World. Because their deck, the engine is strong, but it's not enough to stop Flunders. Flunders can play through a lot more than people give them credit for. So they're either going to take Robina because they're like, I don't want you to get a free starter, or they're going to take the Crow because they're scared that you're going to chain it to their Branded in red, which is one of their biggest disruptions and follow-ups, all built into one. So it's a huge power play, just activating Jack in the hand. It's so funny because this spell puts that much pressure in the Despia matchup. And I'm totally fine with them taking the Crow because what if I didn't even have a starter? Now they just gave me the best card, like one of the best normal summons in my deck. So I love this card. It's really strong. It's a mind game because they have to pick their poison. They either give me gas or they give me a card that disrupts one of their best cards in their deck. Like Brandon the Red's one of the best disruptions. It's a follow-up built in, and if they use Mirror Jade on their turn, they have to give me Crow. I mean, they have to take the Crow because they know that their Mirror Jade's turned off. They need that Brandon the Red to bring Mirror Jade back and get Guardian Chimera to pop and get the draw. All of that. Another thing you can do is just reveal Street, and that's one of the reasons I was playing too. Because when I normal summon Rabina in the Despia matchup, because I play Crow in my deck, if people do not know Crows on my list, they won't flip Brandon in red. But if I have gas and I know I can keep going, if I have like Eaglin already, especially with map, it's crazy. But if I already have Eaglin, I'll just like summon Rabina. They're like, okay. And then I add Crow. And now they're like, well, Brandon in red just can't be activated now. So after they saw it once, Rabina basically said, flip Brandon in red now. Now you can't flip it to pop 2 of my cards with Guardian Chimera. You can only flip it to pop 1. You know, so it really puts that pressure. It really helps out a lot. And it makes your opponent play in an uncomfortable manner. And I like that. I love being able to do that with different decks. Is Your opponent's interactions and their disruptions cannot be used when they want it to be used. You force their hand, you make them play out of their comfort zone, which gives you the advantage in the upper hand because now they can't time their disruptions to hit you in the choke points that they're saving their disruptions for, if that makes sense. And I know I went off with a little bit of a tangent, but this is not the only card that does that. You know, this deck does that extremely well with a lot of decks. Believe it or not, searching Barrier Statue on your turn does so much. So much. Like, there have been instances where I was playing on my opponent's turn with map, and they chain branded and they were resolving their fusion. So they chain branded it. They had the branded fusion resolve, you know. But the thing was, I chained map. That's what I did, not map. I keep calling it map. I chained Dreaming Town, summon Rabina, and so he was like chainlink 1 my tragedy, chainlink 2 my fusion, and I was like chainlink 3 Rabina. Add Barrier Statue, summon it off the res, because it's all when the chain resolves. So then he couldn't fusion summon anything, and he had to search the off the tragedy, get his Albert, summon it, trigger my map, and automatically lost the duel. But Despia is better, bro. But Despia is better than Flunder. Nah, bro. No, this deck's crazy, yo. This deck is gas. Like, I can't tell you everything because the video will be too long, but just know this deck will force so many interactions and stop them in their track. It's amazing. I'm also playing Terraforming, and Set Rotation was the last minute addition. I'm playing 3 different field spells. Nobody's respecting Mystic Mind right now, so funny enough, I decked out 2 people, and I have no shame. Like, I didn't deck them out. It was just they scooped because they realized, like, I was not going to out my own mind, and they couldn't either. Once was against Agnisters because they had the towers, and I did not feel like doing the Goddess of the Underworld line because I was like, I will take all my resources to do that, and if I don't have a follow-up, it doesn't matter because they could just access code OTK me on the follow-up. And then the other was against one of the Despia. I think I played 3 Despias yesterday. I 2-0'd all of them. I mean, today I 2-0'd all of them. I didn't even drop a game against Despia, you guys. And I went second against 2 of them, went first against 1. Didn't even drop a game. I Mystic Mind him because he had Zombie World. I was like, so I had Terraforming and Set. No, I had Terraforming and Set Rotation. And I was like, I really want to out his Zombie World, but just to be funny, I'm just going to Mystic Mind him and keep the Set Rotation so that if he outs my mind, I can both out his Zombie World and flip another Mystic Mind or just play if I want to. And he didn't even have an out to the Mystic Mind. And I played more cards in my deck. I always play more than 40. So it's just hilarious. And I didn't feel bad because I'm like, Zombie World says I can't play, so I'm just going to play a card that says you can't play, and you can't even get mad at me because you're trying to do the same thing to me that I'm doing to you. So card is absolutely gas. It also plays around Imperm and other really, really cool cards, like Evenly Matched, which does come up, believe it or not, even though it shouldn't be a card that people should side against this deck, people do. So I really like Set Rotation a lot. It's a great addition, and these are all my starters. These are amazing. And then the traditional 3 Rabina and 3 Eaglin are going to sum up the starters, you guys. One thing that you should know when you're playing this deck is you should always leave your birds in the banish zone. You should always be chain blocking. You should never, because I'm telling you, you might think that you're ahead. You might have resolved Rabina successfully on your turn 1, and then you got greedy. I see this all the time. This is one of the reasons why I actually 2-0'd my Flunder matchup today, because I did play the mirror. I 2-0'd him as well. I don't know why he was doing it, but he's being very greedy. Every time he had birds in the banish, he grabbed all of them when he had multiples. He should have just picked them one by one, because when I have multiples, I'll grab one when I chain block Eaglin, another when I chain block Rabina. You know, because these are the cards that I need to resolve the most. I'll even sometimes chain block Street because I know Ghost Bell's in the format. And I'm just like, look, I just want to make sure that I can play. So I always chain block Ash and Bell, even though Bell should be sided out anyway. Still, just in case, you know, I'm always conscious in playing around the cards that I know can stop my turn or stop my plays. And if you don't play around the cards that you know you can lose to, you're just going to lose. That's why I built my deck to play around Zombie Road, because I knew if I didn't have an out, I would just lose automatically. And I took that gamble, and it paid off. But yeah, I do think it's correct to always leave a few. Only time I'll take them out the banish zone is if I want to banish them back with Impin's effect to just kill something. Because I add them back, I'm like, you know what, I don't care if I add 3 and my banish zone's empty now and I can't chain block, because my Impins are about to fuel them back. Or if I used Mega Ryza to put back my Featherstorm or my Shifter or my Terraforming or any card. I even put back my Beer Statue, and then that's when I'll add 1 or 2 extra birds from my banish zone, so I can use Unexplored Winds to put them back, and then I'll draw that Bear Statue or that whatever my Ryza put on top of my deck, I'll draw it that same turn. So I technically could activate the terraforming again. You know, it's how I recycle anything in my deck, including the barrier statue, and it comes up a lot. I love the Rise of Loop with the Unexplored Winds. It's one of my favorite things of this deck. It also helps with Eaglin because Eaglin will not be able to resolve when you run out of targets as something else that my Flunder players do all the time. They do not use Unexplored Winds to put their birds back until it's too late. You know, now they're too far behind and they haven't been able to resolve Eaglin for 2 turns, and they didn't have that hindsight to get it early. But as long as you can keep searching off Eaglin, you can keep resolving it. And this is really important because you need to be able to summon your birds and resolve their effect every turn. This is how this deck plays. As long as you're able to play, you win. You know, almost every single time you win. A lot of decks just cannot out-resource, cannot out-grind this deck. They cannot out the boards that you set up, and your boards get replaced. Everything is rinse, wash, and repeat with this deck. There's nothing that your opponent can out that won't come back unless they banish like Ryza or Avion. Everything else will even come back even from the banish zone, which is amazing. So, yeah, you guys, these are all the starters, and I'm really, really happy with my deck. I played, I think 3 Despias. I played Flunder. Those were all 2-0s. I lost to Ignisters, and then I lost to Eldritch. I actually lost to Skill Drain. His engine, he had freaking Albion, and he was just like 25 with Skill Drain up, and it was just beat down. I was like, dang, oh my god, like I really wish I had Unexplored Winds right now. And then I played Trickstar and True Draco as the other decks. I beat everything else, but yeah, and I got 11th place if I didn't say it already. So those are all the starters. Now we're gonna get to Double Street. This should just be at 1. You know, my fear for Jack in the Hand was it was unwarranted. I feel like I just really overthought it. But just to be safe, I put it in my list today, and it never came up. Like, the second street came up to search, but I mean, it never came up for the reason why I put it in. So I'm just going to take it back out and then just replace it with a 3rd Mystic Mine. Because nobody was respecting Mystic Mine. Nobody's even playing around the card. It's amazing how many free wins you can get. You're like, oh my god, like, look at all those monsters. You really, wow, bro. That's fabulous. You're doing a great job. Mystic Mine. And then we have 3 copies of Samort. This card is another one of the best cards in my deck. This card outs back rows going 2nd. If people don't negate this, you can also chain block it. Because I'm main decking Samort Propulsion. So this is how I can give myself a turn to just take a breather and kind of just decide what route I want to go. Because then I'm like, let me get Unexplored Winds and Avion access. So that way, when they set those traps again, I'll start tributing them off and have a negate to stop those floodgates from being reactivated. So it's really, really powerful. Samort Propulsion is one of the best cards this deck has. It gives you so much utility. This card can allow you to extend. It gets you those extra summons. It gets you the extra damage. You know, you get the field spell or you get the Samort Propulsion. But most notably, it chain blocks your Robina and your Eaglin and just makes Gamma and Ash and Gold Spell just very, very lackluster against this deck. Only cards that really work are going to be Imperm and Valor that are main deck worthy, and you can dodge those with Abbott. Droll can be stopped by Dimension Shifter. I think you guys are kind of getting the gist. Even though this deck can be hand trapped, it plays cards in its main deck that are engine-based cards, which means you can access them consistently and frequently. They're all searchable. Everything that you have that plays around hand traps except Dimension Shifter is all searchable. So this deck can play around every hand trap that beats it, quote, quote, except Lancia, which Lancia doesn't actually beat this deck. It just slows it down, but it does not beat it. It doesn't stop it from playing. You know, only time Lancia is crazy is if I have, like, Prosperity and Map and I have no other way to play, then I'm like, well, my god, like, I guess I lose. But that's another thing that some work helps with, is even if you don't have Map, it lets you keep pushing because it gets you a field spell that gets you another normal summon. It also lets you make Nightmare Phoenix, you know, just to out Zombie Road, which is really cool. And you'll just be able to play. Like, as long as you have Map, you can play. And they have to normal summon Albert almost every single time. So they will trigger your Map, and you'll be able to play again after you have Zombie Road. So this card is just everything. It's amazing how many people let me resolve this card. And I didn't even chain block it half the time because I was like, people are just not negating this card. They're not respecting the Samort, and they're just getting punished every time. I bounced all of their back rows back to the hand. It was just like, yo, I'm playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Today. Like, this card is so good. And it's searchable off Robina. And it gives you a higher bird count for your Advent to be as consistent as possible. Crow, I was talking about it earlier, but yeah, this card, just having one in your deck changes the dynamic of your Despia matchup. It's just so good. I thought about playing a second Bear Statue as well. The reason why I just really do think I'm going to take the Stree out and put in the second Bear Statue is it does come up a lot. So I will literally get Dropletted, and I'll be like, Oh my god. Like, if I had another Barry statue, I could just search it off Rabina. And I know for facts that if he leaves the main phase, you know, I'm just gonna tribute his monsters with wind or set them with the with my dreaming town. So like they're not outing nobody's outing the second Barry statue because they never expect it, and they always like Dark Ruler or drop it on the first one. So nobody plays around the second one, and that's gonna be another kooky thing I'm gonna change on my list. I'm gonna take that Stree out and put in another Barry statue. Because yes, you can put it back with Avion and just, you know, literally, I mean Avion with Ryza and just like get it back off of, you know, Rabina, or just draw it immediately off of the Explored Winds. But the times when the second one comes up is on your opponent's turn, and you don't have the luxury to do that. So I just feel like I'm gonna be playing 2 because there's so many more games that you would just steal by having the second one. I really think every Flunder list should play 2. Your win conditions in this deck are Mystic Mine, Featherstorm, Barrier Statue, Dimension Shifter, Retaliating Sea, Impin, your engine. Like, you have like 5+ win conditions with this deck, and they're all loopable with Ryza. That means if your opponent outplays it one time miraculously, Ryza will get it right back. The fact that you can loop Featherstorm is just ridiculous. That means if you full combo with this deck once and you have a blowout card like Shifter or Featherstorm, you know, anything like that, even Mystic Mine, and your opponent miraculously outs it one, Ryza will put it back on the top of your deck and you'll draw it again. And that's another thing that makes this deck just so cracked to me, that you can do stuff that other decks just can't do, and that puts the deck in a league of its own, and its utility is pretty high. I like that your coverage, you know, for matchups can easily be adjusted or addressed just by putting different birds in your deck. Like how I took out the crossouts for Samorg, and how you can put in Dark Samorg for trap decks, and how you can research other high level, you know, Winged Beast monsters. Like the other Samorg high levels are actually really worth, you know, testing. I really want to test with those because there's just so much more that this deck can do. And I'm not saying that it needs to do more, because what's good don't need to be. If it ain't broke, don't fix it, baby. But it's just the fact that this deck can do more than what I'm doing with it is what makes it even better. So I'm playing 2 Impin, all hail the man, the myth, the legend. This card just never dies. He always comes back. There's just no way to get rid of him. You banish him, he comes back. You kill him, he comes back. Impin's always going to be there to hold it down and keep the clutch for you. So we have Avion. Oh my god, like, dude, the clutchest thing with Avion today was with Unexplored Winds. I negated Branded Fusion, and then I summoned him again. But when I summoned him, you know, I attributed the Despia field spell thingy. I was like, you know what, let me just do that so I don't have to waste a negate on it. Because I feel like he's about to chain block a Guardian Chimera or something, because Barrier Statue was gone. And it was like, yo, but he didn't scoop, so I'm like, wow, now I can just Avion you twice again on my turn. Like, this card, I don't even know why people cut it. Like, because it goes back to your hand, you can Avion people twice every turn. And because this deck gets 3 normal summons, as opposed to the 2 off of map and your normal summon for turn, because I play the Samorg package, you can Avion 3 times, or you can just Avion twice and then just do your engine after that. And one of the other ways to extend it even further is with Impin. You can Impin and bridge it into the Avion, especially with Unexplored Winds. I think these cards just overperform a lot. I didn't rise up very much today, believe it or not. I actually was Impin and Avion all day. But I did rise up a few times. It was just only when it's absolutely necessary. I feel like this is one of the biggest guns that you could bring out, and you really just bring out when you need to. You don't really want to do it too early. Typically, I will use Dreaming Town to set the normal summon so that my Barrier Statue can be outed. Because what I'll do is I'll go for Avion. Most people go for Ryza, you know, and they'll just bounce the normal summon. But the thing is, when you have Dreaming Town, why would you not activate it just to set their monster face down? And so because of that, I feel, why would I go for Ryza when I can just summon Avion, get an Omni Negate, and set the monster that was going to out Barrier Statue? And now they can't play, but I also have an Omni Negate in case they like set a trap or some kind of disruption to play into my board on my turn. So I was doing Avion a lot. This card actually was very clutch, and I chose it over Ryza a lot, and I won more games than I normally would have, because I typically go for Ryza like brain dead. I just do it, I don't even think about it. But Avion was overperforming today. Ryza is still a go. I love the loops with him. I love recycling any card in my deck and drawing it off of the Unexplored Winds. That's one of my favorite interactions. If I played hand traps, I can literally Ash and then put Ash on top and draw it. Ash, put it on top and draw it. I can loop Ash for infinity and beyond. So really, really great deck. I love it. I love how this deck plays. I play this deck like a beast. I have never lost a mirror match. We have 3 Shifter. This is the only hand trap I play. It's a win condition. If you shifter and you can combo, every time your opponent should be picking their cards up. In fact, I'll give them the pin so they can sign the slip, because there's no way. If you can't play out shifter once, you're never playing out of it, because Ryza will never, ever allow you to play again. Like Ryza, this is where Ryza becomes cracked in his deck, because you put this card back and then activate it again and again and again. And you just do it until your opponent just understands what's going on. Like, you're losing. So shifter's cracked. Retaliating C's cracked. I am giving you, a sneak peek. I did play Retaliating C today to beat Despia, because I was like, if they activate Branded Fusion and Retaliating C, no Zombie World, right? But that also means no Mirror Jade. That also means that they really can't do anything, because it's just like Shifter, except it's a body on field, which means I can tribute summon for it when I'm done. So Retaliating C was insane. If you guys are not playing it, I'm telling you right now, you should play it. I don't even know why people don't play Retaliating C. I literally don't know why, but it's so insane. So I had Retaliating C, I had Shifter, I had Storm, I had Mystic Mind, I had Barrier Statue, I had Impin, I had my Engine. Speaking of Mystic Mind, nobody's respecting it. This is better than Handshots right now. There's literally not a single deck that I can think of that main deck's out. So game 1 secure. Game 2, even if they out it, the thing is, like, they have to draw the out and you already have Engine. It's just so good. This is probably one of the best Mystic Mind decks that you can play. I'm not playing 3 because I was playing 3, but I put the third one out and I swapped it for a set rotation. So I can still have a third Mystic Mind, but it can also be a 5th map or a 3rd copy of the Samoric Field spell. Because sometimes you actually want this. The attack boost, the extra summon, everything. So I'm playing this in Propulsion. This is one of the things that makes my list more refined, that I like a lot, is that I'm main decking this now. It helps to free space in the side, and there's a lot of game 1s where this card is clutch. This card's just so free. Like, if you're playing against Trap Eldritch, even if you can't get access to Dark Samoric, where they just miraculously out it, you search this just to be safe on your turn 1. So when you start your main phase, you just activate this, bounce your traps, and then you play. So that's what makes this even more crazy, because you could search a turn 1 and you could be like, hey, my board might not get broken. It might get broken, but I know no matter what, you're playing a monkey deck, I'm bouncing every single one of those 5 that you set, and I'm going to play, and I'm going to kill you. And you can loop this with Ryza. So there's that. Call by wins in Dreaming Town for the rest. Dreaming Town's nuts. I love this card. I'll even leave it engraved sometimes. Like, when I play Despia, there'll be times that I'll literally just leave this engraved because I want to activate it on my turn. Like, not the activation, but like the graveyard effect when you tribute summon. I'd be wanting to activate it on my turn. Like, this card... Oh my goodness. Oh yeah, and so a ruling that got solved and that makes this even better in the Despia matchup is... I wasn't sure, but I was like, I'm almost positive, but then the ruling got solved anyway. So when a fusion summon monster is set face down and then flip back face up, the game state no longer recognizes it as fusion summoned. We just know that it's a fusion monster. The reason why that's important is because I book of Moon, not book of Moon, I book of Eclipse. So I had Impin, and I knew that Mirror Jade could out it. So what I did was I got another Impin, and then I tributed and I did this, and I was like, okay. And basically it was like, I knew I had to force Mirror Jade and out it and not lose my board. So it was crazy because I did this, and he's like, okay, Mirror Jade's going to banish one of the Impins, and then I set it face down, then I killed it. And it was not able to activate its effect because it wasn't a fusion summon monster leaving the field because of opponent's card. It was just a fusion monster, which was crazy, and I'm so glad I learned that ruling because it made this card even better than I thought it was, because this card's just broken. Like, Book of Eclipse... This is UCT built into the deck, and you recur. This deck is... If this deck ain't good, I don't know what isn't. I just don't know what good is, because I just think this deck is one of the best and most fun decks you could play. It's amazing. So, these didn't really come up today, but I had them ready for... so, like, Dark was also just to climb into Unicorn and Access Code, because I'm like, look, if I'm going in my extra deck, I'm going balls to the walls. And, like I said, today, I went in my extra more than I've ever have. I really played out of my comfort zone at times, but... I was just really happy that my deck came in the clutch for me when I needed it to do things that Flutters don't normally do, to be able to deal with situations that Flutters normally can't deal with. Because most of the time, we do forget as Flutter players, we forget that we can even use our extra deck. It's not just Pot of Prosperity food and, Maximus targets. It's really meant to be used as another form of, like, utility that your deck naturally doesn't have with your engine, and you can do it with cards like Map and the Samoric Field spell, which is amazing. So these are all the links. None of these came up today. I would have used this against Ignister, but I just wanted to deck them out instead because I didn't want to work hard for it. I was like, look, the harder I work, the more time I waste. So I was like, let me just put this mine up, and I'm hoping that you scoop right now because you don't have an out. And then the rank ones, all of these are incredible. Promenade Throsh actually really helps So it helps to out cards like Skill Drain and Monarch's Erupt because I played Draco today. You activate it, you target to shuffle, and then you chain Avid to banish this from field, and it resolves because it's not faced with no field, it's not negated. So Promenade Thrush is great. It also does, in theory, out Zombie Road, but typically what I'll do is I'll go for this because Mirror Jade can't banish this, and I'll go this line and I'll do the Zeus, and I can play like that. So yeah, I really like this. Honestly, I just feel like I don't really use my extra deck a lot, but I feel like in Flanders, when you summon your extra deck, it just feels amazing because you're like, I should have lost. You know, like I really should have lost it. I was supposed to lose, but because I remembered that I had an extra deck, I'm winning a game that I normally lose because I'm so programmed to not use my extra deck when I play Flanders that I'm like, yo, it's amazing that I forget I can do this stuff. Like I played double Zeus today. I'm like, I forget I have a Zeus turbo deck. It's just, you know, you really want your engine. But if your hand's good enough, you can do this and your follow-up will still be there for you. Zeus is still a house. Like, Merry Christmas, but it didn't come up. And yeah, you guys, that is the profile. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know how you think in the comment section below, or what you think in the comment section below. I had a blast today. I'm really happy. I'm not displeased at all. My deck did exactly what I built it to do. I built it to out Zombie World and beat Despia, and I dookied all over Despia today. So I'm really happy. That's a W in my book. 11th place is not the worst, but it's not the best at the same time. But 11th place is still 11th place. And at the end of the day, I was like, look, it's better than just not topping it all. So peace out, you guys.